Hello, my dear friend. Perhaps you cannot yet see it, but there was a moment, one alone, uncelebrated, shadowed by uncertainty, when you quietly chose what most would never notice. No applause, no spotlight, no validation. Just you, your trembling heart, and a decision that felt like survival. It did not feel like destiny then. It felt like sacrifice. It might have felt wrong, confusing, unfair. Maybe you questioned your logic, replayed that moment in your mind, wondered if you should have stayed, should have given in, should have tolerated what hurt more than it healed. Still, against every whisper of comfort, you made that choice. And because of that choice, heaven stirred. Because of that murmur in your soul, time pivoted. Because destiny isn't always declared from the rooftops. It's often written in the language of small, faithful yeses that only God hears. You stood at a fork in the road. One path easier, one path scarier, one path unseen. You didn't know it then, but you were laying down the foundations of everything to come. You didn't just take a step, you reordered your trajectory. There's a difference between obeying rules and aligning with truths. The first says, I'll do what I should. The second says, I'll walk with integrity, even if everything around me wants me to compromise. And you did that. You listened to the whisper in your spirit, even when it tore your plans apart. Even when it demanded you leave behind what once felt like security, what once felt like hope, what once felt like home. You stepped away anyway. Remember the words of Psalm 37, 23, 24. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. Your steps were firm, even in trembling, your hand held, even unseen. Or Proverbs 3, 5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. You submitted when it made no sense. You trusted when understanding failed. That decision was like repositioning a beam in a grand architectural design, so small to the eye, but without that shift, the structure would lean, would crack, would collapse. But you didn't allow that minute misplacement to win. You saw the misalignment, even if only faintly, and you corrected it. You realigned your interior, your soul's direction, and once that central alignment shifted, everything else under your calling had to adjust. Timelines altered, relationships reshaped. Doors that once seemed closed began to tremble. Opportunities redirected. Some delays were never delays. They were pauses for architecture to be corrected. Blueprints were being redrawn, even if you didn't yet know how the finished structure would look. I want you to know, many will never comprehend the pressure you bore. They'll never grasp the cost, emotional, spiritual, relational, you paid by letting go. They'll never witness the nights you wrestled doubts, the mornings you woke heavy, the afternoons you forced hope to rise again. But God saw, God witnessed your obedience, not as a test score to be judged, but as a mark in sacred time. A moment when timeline split and your name was etched onto what was coming. Hebrews 11:1 says, Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. That assurance lived in you. Even when the visible said no or silence, your conviction said yes. And because you believed before you saw, the unseen began moving. Because you answered the call of truth before confirmation came, your spiritual DNA changed. Your assignment shifted. You entered into a kind of elevation that doesn't require hype, but produces a weight of presence. Quiet, powerful, recognizable, even in its gentleness. You might be asking, why does the air feel different lately? Why are people who once felt safe feeling distant? Why are some situations you expected to resolve now resisted? Because your decision caused an atmospheric shift. Because when you opted for alignment, everything around you had to catch up. The world you were heading toward is no longer possible in the old path. You are in the midst of divine reconstruction. Everything that once made sense must dissolve, so what must stand can rise. Many confuse this phase for chaos. It is not destruction, but redemption. Not punishment, but preparation. This is the refining. You are not here to echo others. You are here to embody sacred courage, to live out a template of faith forged in solitude, in struggle, in sacred surrender. God is lifting you, not in the blaze of showmanship, but in unmistakable revelation. People may see you and wonder how you arrived there. They may hear of your peace and question its source. They may see open doors where once there were none, and think the exterior changed. But inside, God was changing you. He was crafting your character, aligning your intentions, refining what was hidden so what is revealed can bear witness. It isn't about performance. It isn't about acclaim. It's about resonance. Others will feel your presence and not fully grasp how deep the roots have grown. But that's good. The roots were made in secret, in the soil of the unseen, in the labors of the heart. Jesus said in Matthew 6:6, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." Your secret choices were seen. Your private obedience is being rewarded. Ecclesiastes 3:11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. The beauty you see now is being unfurled in God's perfect timing, not before you were ready, but precisely when your faith proved steady. This next season won't look like the one that broke your heart, or the one you tried to rebuild by memory, because this is not restoration of what was. This is redirection toward what is real, what is true, what is yours by promise. Don't go backward. Don't beg for doors you have already outgrown. Don't apologize for shedding what was not yours. The pain was not purposeless. The loss was a divorce of false identity. The silence was the space where your soul remembered who it is meant to be. And now that remembrance is becoming visible. The scars, the tears, the private battles won, they are feeding into your authority. They are writing a story that cannot be copied, a life that cannot be ignored. You are becoming an example, not because you wanted attention, but because you lived authentically when it was easier to be someone else. When it would have cost less to conform. When it would have hurt less to hide. When the world offered comfort and you chose truth instead. That's your revolution. That's your distinction. You kept believing when doubt knocked at your door. You kept trusting when everything around you said, surrender. There is a younger you, somewhere still healing, still remembering the moments that didn't make sense. And now, little by little, you are embodying the answer to those unanswered nights. Questions you whispered. Letdowns you swallowed. hope you held by a thread. Now you are becoming the person who proves they were worth holding on to, not for applause, not for confirmation from crowds, but for the embrace of God, who saw the invisible, who heard the prayerless cries, who honored your unspoken yes. So what now? Keep walking, not to earn love or prove value, but because you know whose you are. Keep your posture of faith. Let reward follow obedience without chasing it. Let confirmation come without forcing it. Let God finish what your quiet surrender set in motion. Because this season, your life is not a reaction, it is revelation. Not a desperation, it is destiny. You are not following trends. You are not moving to prove a point. You are rising because God is making you into a reference point. Proof of what happens when someone listens early and dares to move anyway. That solitary decision you made in darkness, it was not merely correct, it was revolutionary. And now the new timeline begins. Thank you, my dear friend,